welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating 6,900-word academic study by Ikuya Aizawa and Heath Rose. We're going on a bit of a journey to figure out why some university students absolutely thrive in English-taught courses, while others, who are sitting right next to them in the exact same lecture hall, struggle immensely. If you care about education, language learning, or honestly just how well systems prepare us for the real world, you're definitely going to want to stick around for this one. So let's dive right into this core question. Is learning English actually enough to learn in English? The answer here unlocks a massive, kind of hidden challenge in global education today. We usually just assume that if a student has studied a language for years, they're automatically ready to sit in a university classroom and absorb complex subjects in that language. But as we're about to see, learning English as a subject and learning in English as a medium, well, those are two entirely different animals. Section 1. The Global English Boom. To really understand this dynamic, we've got to look at the big picture of higher education right now. Across the globe, universities are racing to internationalize, and that brings us to our core concept, EMI, or English Medium Instruction. Now, to be clear, this isn't your standard English language class. We're talking about learning biology, economics, or sociology through English in a country where English isn't the primary language. In Japan, for example, the Ministry of Education has been driving a massive trend to increase these EMI courses to cultivate global leaders. But here's the catch. Throwing local students into an English-only environment without the right linguistic tools, it can create some major roadblocks. To figure out exactly why students hit a wall during this transition, researchers analyzed 103 Japanese undergrads from various disciplines at a university in Tokyo. And these students were actually required to take at least 3 EMI modules just to graduate. The researchers didn't just ask them how they felt about it either. They measured their exact vocabulary sizes and interviewed them extensively. Which brings us to Section 2, A Tale of Two Schools. To truly understand the struggle these undergrads face, we have to trace their steps back to before they ever stepped foot on a university campus. The crucial point here is the stark contrast in their high school backgrounds. The study essentially split the students into 2 camps. First up, the EME students. These are kids who went to high schools where their English classes were actually taught in English, a sort of soft-EMI experience. Then, on the flip side, we have the JME students. For them, high school English was taught almost entirely through Japanese. It relied heavily on the grammar translation method, basically just to help them pass those high-stakes university entrance exams, meaning they had virtually zero real communicative practice. Just imagine the panic of being student 12 for a second. As they put it, I had never written essays in English before entering the university. You can instantly feel the anxiety there, right? You've spent years meticulously memorizing grammar rules for multiple choice tests, and suddenly, bam, you're sitting in a university classroom being asked to synthesize academic sources and write a long-form essay in English. The gap between what they were trained to do and what's suddenly expected of them is just staggering. Section 3, The 4 Skills Struggle. This sheer lack of preparation inevitably crashes right into the 4 foundational pillars of academic English: writing, reading, speaking, and listening. When we look at the data for perceived challenges, the statistical divide is impossible to ignore. On a scale where 1 is very difficult and 5 is very easy, the EME students, the ones who actually had English taught in English during high school, averaged around a 3.6 across the board. They found the work pretty manageable. But the JME students, they were hovering way down around a 2.6. They rated every single skill as significantly more difficult than their EME peers. But it's not just numbers on a page, it's a deeply human struggle. Take student 19, who reveals how a lack of fluency turns a simple reading assignment into an agonizing stop-and-go process. They have to stop after every single sentence because of unknown words and structures. Imagine that. Every time you reach for a dictionary, your train of thought is entirely broken. Reading basically transforms from learning new content into an exhausting decoding exercise. And that exact same barrier pops up during live lectures too. Student 18 admitted that a single unknown word derails their entire learning experience, forcing them to just stop listening to the teacher altogether. I mean, unlike a textbook, a lecturer doesn't pause for you to check your dictionary. If you don't know the word, you lose the thread, and suddenly you're completely left behind in your own major. Section 4. The Hidden Vocabulary Gap. This specific struggle, stopping dead at unknown words, points us directly to the hidden culprit here. To understand what's failing these students, we have to look at vocabulary in 2 totally distinct categories. First, there's receptive vocabulary. This is passive. It's the words you can recognize and understand when someone else says them, or when you read them. Second, there's productive vocabulary. This is active. It's the words you can actually summon from your own brain to write an essay or speak up in a seminar. Keep that distinction in mind because it's absolutely crucial. When we break down the numbers, the disparity is just mind-blowing. For receptive vocabulary, both groups are doing fairly well. 100% of EME students and over 91% of JME students hit a satisfactory level for simply recognizing words. But moving over to productive vocabulary, that changes everything. While nearly 90% of EME students can actively use the words, the JME students plummet to 28.6%. Their ability to actually produce academic English is just worlds apart from their peers. 28.6%. Let's just pause on that number for a second. This literally means that over 70% of JME students enter the university lacking the basic productive vocabulary required to write an essay or discuss academic topics in English. They have these complex ideas in their heads, for sure, but the education system that meticulously prepared them for multiple choice exams has left them completely without the voice to express those ideas in an EMI setting. So, how do we fix this? Section 5, Bridging the Divide. Because it's not enough to just identify the problem, the researchers lay out some highly actionable steps here. Step 1, universities need to stop treating all local students as a single monolithic group. By using placement surveys early on, they can profile a student's high school background and identify who might be at risk. Step 2, since vocabulary is the main culprit, universities must provide contextualized glossaries, not just random word lists, but specific terms tied directly to the authentic textbooks they'll use in their majors. And finally, step 3, English language instructors and academic content instructors really need to collaborate. They have to ensure the language support actually aligns with the biology or economics content the students are trying to learn. I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. The rush to internationalize higher education is definitely an exciting trend, but this explainer shows us the hidden cost of a purely top-down approach. If we don't fix the vocabulary gap between high school exam prep and university-level production, we really risk alienating bright, capable learners. As we open our classrooms to the world, we absolutely have to ensure we aren't unintentionally closing the door on students in our own backyard.